In Gethley in the Rhondda today, in Shady Road and aptly Princess Street, they're feting the Queen.
When you call me, when I hear you breathe.
And they've been raising funds for this day since January.
We've paid for 2 mascots, we've paid for 2 singers, a karaoke machine, the decorations for both streets, the food, everything. So there's a lot going on today.
Some houses are meticulously dressed. Windows parade allegiances. There are reportedly thousands of street parties being held across the UK this weekend. Such a cyclical backdrop to one story of Britain's relationship with its monarchy, however altered over the years. Do you think future generations are going to mark moments like this in the same way?
Well, I hope they will. Yes, they should do.
We've been doing work about the Queen in school on our Chromebooks, and we've done facts about her.
What's your favourite fact about the Queen?
I think she was 26 or something like that when she got crowned.
And so to that generation's future. Prince George and Princess Charlotte joined their parents William and Kate in Cardiff today. They took part in rehearsals for a concert in the castle this afternoon. Cardiff's precursor to tonight's party at Buckingham Palace.
Hello there.
In Belfast, the Wessexes, Edward and Sophie, were at a series of events. Introduced to the Belfast BAP at a retro Jubilee market, and then performances by a community dance group. Back in the Rhondda, they dance, soak in the atmosphere and reminisce. In Avondale Street, in the terraced house he's lived in all his life, we meet Tony Click, an ex-miner who's 90. He treasures images of the street in 1947 when they celebrated the Queen's marriage to Prince Philip. How many street parties have you been to over the years?
I can't remember.
You've had a lot here, haven't you?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about another street party today?
I'm too old for it now, like.
His neighbour, Jackie Davis, shows me photos of the street party for the 1952 coronation. Is there a lot of support for the royal family still in communities like this?
I think so.
Has it waned over the years? Is it
a little bit? Yeah, it's a pity, and I like the royal family.
Has it changed a bit? I mean, if looking back at these photos, 1952.
Oh God, yes. We were all the same then, weren't we? Not a lot of money, and kids played in the street. We all played together.
You think it's a bit different now?
Oh God, yes. I think so.
It was then an age of empire, an age of coal. Today they were remembering those in this community who died recently from COVID. 2 moments of street parties, 7 decades apart, one an echo of another, imagery hinting of an unchanged nation, but in reality each bookending a period of vast social and cultural change. And on the subject of changing times and COVID, there was a poignant moment here a short while ago when they released balloons in memory of some of those residents who died during the pandemic. And some of these valleys communities were hit really hard during the pandemic. So as much as all of this is for some everything about royalty and the Queen, there are others who are very indifferent, I have to say, to that aspect of it, and who are just relishing this moment of community celebration and solidarity after 2 very difficult years. As for the big set-piece Jubilee events to come, I mentioned the concert in Cardiff Castle. Attention will turn soon to the Derby, where there'll be a guard of honour of jockeys dressed in the Queen's colours, although the Queen isn't expected to attend. And then at 8 o'clock, it'll be all about the party at the Palace, at Buckingham Palace, where a vast array of stars, including Diana Ross and Queen, will perform in front of an audience of more than 20,000, including Princes William and Charles, both of whom are expected to get up on stage and pay a tribute to the Queen. That's it so far on Jubilee Day 3.
Andy in Rhondda, thanks very much. Well, crowds have cheered the Princess Royal as she arrived at the Epsom Derby Day, held in the Queen's absence. Special Jubilee celebrations were laid on at the racecourse, including a parade of 5 of her former racehorses and 40 jockeys who have ridden in the royal colours. The Queen's hopes of a Derby winner this year were dashed earlier this month when her horse had to be withdrawn. It's only the 3rd time that the Queen has failed to attend in her 70-year reign. Well, I'm joined now from the Hay Festival by Tina Brown. Her latest book, The Palace Papers, charts the recent history of the royal family. Tina Brown, the Queen said she wanted these Platinum Jubilee celebrations to be about togetherness, the togetherness of the nation. It has succeeded in that respect, hasn't it?
It truly has. It's been very joyful thus far, all the way through. And there is really a sense, I think, of a valedictory gratitude, actually, for the Queen's 70 years. You know, that we all know this is her last Jubilee. And there's a sense of a slightly poignant edge to the joy, but the joy is real.
And a lot of joy, as you say, I guess tinged with sadness because of that valedictory air that you talk about. But I wonder, when you look at the fact that yesterday at the service, you know, Meghan and Harry were visibly separated from the rest of the family, what kind of shape does she leave the House of Windsor in? Is it fragile, or is it actually stronger than it might appear at times?
I actually think it's pretty strong, thanks to the fact we have, you know, 2 living heirs who seem pretty much accomplished to do this job. I mean, Charles has been in the anteroom of his destiny now for, 50 years, and he's actually fully qualified to do it, even if he is only a transitional monarch. And William, I mean, the good luck of William is that he has accepted his destiny with a lot of grace and thoughtful poise. And of course, his wife, the Duchess of Cambridge, has been, it turns out, an absolute linchpin to the stability of the monarchy in the future. So, all of the talk of the drama, and there has been a lot, Prince Harry was always, in the end, a marginal figure. And of course, Prince Andrew too. They're both really, in the big scheme of things, not that important.
It's interesting you talk about Charles being a kind of transitional monarch. I wonder if you look at the character of Charles and, what you said about William and Kate there. Are William and Kate more in the kind of stoic mould of the Queen than perhaps Charles is?
Well, I definitely think that William has many attributes of his grandmother. We do know that a lot more about Charles, of course, than we ever knew about the Queen. I mean, we know a lot about what Charles thinks about a lot of things. And there's no doubt that Charles kind of wrestled with his destiny in a way that the Queen, accepted her destiny with much less kind of torment than Charles did in his early years. But we also get Charles at the point when he's an unapologetically happy man, thanks to his 20 years now of marriage to Camilla. And I think that he is actually going to be surprisingly good, and in a way it's lucky for him that there are sort of frankly low expectations of Charles, because most people say, oh, we'd rather have William next, but that's okay for Charles because now he can exceed those expectations, and I suspect that he will.
And when you look back at this extraordinary 70-year reign, the Queen has lived through history, but she's also, to a certain extent, moved with the times, hasn't she? And I wonder how, looking ahead, you think the monarchy needs to modernise and move with the times under Charles, and how it might?
Well, Charles' great sort of trick has got to be to sort of retain all the smoke and mirrors of the grandeur and the pageantry, while at the same time kind of downsizing behind that. I think that everyone would agree that the Windsor family is overhoused. It's got all of those palaces, you don't need them all. And Charles is already discussing making Balmoral a museum of the Queen. He's going to live in an apartment above Buckingham Palace and will open a great deal more of it to the public. You're going to see definitely a pulling in of the monarchy and a downsizing. But I think that Charles is going to be rather good at keeping all of the kind of pomp and circumstance that, frankly, is about the imagery of that really serves Britain extremely well. It's what every tourist comes to see. And on occasions like the Jubilee, there is nothing more uniting and stirring and more of a sense of great national identity than these amazing displays like Trooping the Colour and the whole kind of panoply of the great monarchy pageantry.